Good morning. Today is February, 4th or 5th? And we are not quite in the local vigilance area. That's being attended to by the Forestry Service. So it's kind of compromised right now, much to my annoyance. We're in that time of year where some places are hard to get into because of the weather and all that. So if I'm sounding a little testy today, that's why. I don't know how long this video is going to be. I'm kind of in a different area that actually has had some potential activity in the past, but I had hoped to do some other things, but due to some comedy of errors on my own end, so I have to eat some of this myself. The prevailing lovely 16-degree weather again, with wind this time, so it is cold. We'll do what we can, but again, it's just that time of year where moods kind of suffer a little bit and the like. So we're going to be on our way. We're going to go into an area, see what we can find, and we're tracking and all that. So you know the drill. We'll be back online in a bit. Okay, we're back, and I guess he's going to try to behave. So the conditions today, again, it's cold, it's windy, the snow is kind of rock hard. So I mean, I come in at like 205 and I'm not breaking through except for like once in the odd step, and this stupid camera just won't behave. So we're going to have the camera, I'm going to wing this thing in a minute. But yeah, so my feet are not breaking through, so the odds of finding tracks in this are going to be like dusty things in the powder, because either that or like moose level stuff, because I'm not even punching through this stuff. I debated whether I was going to bring snowshoes today, but with the stuff being this hard, the point would be moved. Here we have something, bobcat. You can barely see it again. So this being like a 30-40 pound animal potentially, the bobcat strides probably a foot apart, and it does look more feline than canine. So yeah, bobcat, and not breaking through at all. But he was passing through. That's cool. You guys have a game cam out here and get another picture. I got one a couple years ago. Good shot of a bobcat. Getting the neighborhood cougar would be interesting too if he's still around. And yes, before anyone starts with the age-old debate, no, there's not any cougars here. Here's the truth of cougars in Connecticut. They very likely are not native to the state, but in 2007, like it or not, on the local evening news, a cougar in Darien, Connecticut, which is in the heart of the Fairfield County suburbs, had to go and get hit by a car and ruin that theory forever. And whether they like it or not, they may not be native, but they do get here, and we do have them. I've seen one in this very area, as have other people, hunters and others, who spent a lot of time in the woods and know the difference between a bobcat and a cougar. And what I saw had a big long tail with a big black dot on the end of it, and bobcats don't have that. So let me spare you that little thing right there. And there was an interesting argument / discussion on Facebook last week concerning coy wolves and coyotes and all that. And there tends to be a lot of dickering over the details of them, and this is what that is. Coyotes in the Northeast at one point moved in from further west, where they did in fact intermingle with gray wolves, and some of them have as much as 20% wolf DNA in there and are, for lack of a better word, wolfier than some of their western counterparts. And they also have been interacting with domestic dogs, so they have that too. So like it or not, coy wolf, coy dog, and northeastern coyote are valid terms, and they are basically the same animal. But in comparison with something out west in the desert or something, they're probably bigger and more social, and as a result, it's a slightly different variation on that theme. But it is a thing, it is valid, and they are here, and the DEP itself has put out an article or two about this. So we found moose tracks here, and we're going to actually see if I can have this behave. And, well, we'll just do this. Because the zoom in my gloved hands, my hands are cold, so I'm going to be a puss about this. But you can see here, moose tracks that are coming from, if I can get that, coming from over this way. But, right by the hunter tape. Sadly for hunters, you can't hunt bullwinkle in Connecticut, so there you go. Life's a bitch for them. But it's good to know that the cow, the neighborhood cow, is still around. I'm assuming that's what it is from the size of the tracks. But now I'm starting to break through. Anyway, what direction? I thought that was an opening. I'm not going to go through all that undergrowth to get there, though. So I was kind of like whining the tracking conditions are going to suck, but in the course of the last 10 minutes, I found both bobcat as well as moose tracks. That's not bad. So not a total waste of a day out. Not really talking a lot about Bigfoot stuff. I guess there's not really a lot going on. So in the coming months, when conditions don't suck so bad, I was kind of hoping to be ambitious today and get out to an area further out in Mass, but the roads up north are not plowed well enough, combined with my own laziness in getting better tires, kind of precluded some of that today, and I'm in this area instead. I checked in on my other area and it's being logged again, which irritates me, but I don't have control over that, unfortunately. So the two areas local are still on the books. I started mapping out other areas that I'm going to get into as well to kind of expand into the northeastern, or rather the local vigilance area. That, I mean, it is a larger area. I kind of look at things at a regional level. And some of these areas are going to be, there's a set of coyote tracks here too. We're going to have an expansion of the areas into those areas as well, and we will at that point. Saw something punching through and then I realized it was me. I'm kind of backtracking. We'll be expanding into those areas because with the main area now being forested, for lack of a better word, that kind of precludes, you know, your ability to freely operate in there without interference. So it is what it is. We will, I started mapping out some areas this week, and I'm going to get into some areas. One of the areas I'm actually hopeful for, because between you, me, and the lamppost, it's kind of an area that is, how shall you say, hard to infiltrate due to, it's not private, it's government land, but it's government land that is restricted in a lot of areas unless you know the nooks and crannies of the way in. And I have found one or two, so. Which does not infer that I'm going to be trespassing, because I'm not, but you just have to know how to read a map for opportunity. When you've been in the area before and you know there's a history there, and you know that the area is like monitored by the people that will show you the door, and if not fine you and the like, but you have to read things like, you know, where there's a certain trailhead that intersects with a certain power line, what are they call the power lines, and then you parallel from the power lines into other areas once you're far enough in that you can get into certain areas of interest. And if you do so discreetly, you can probably do that and not have issues. Which is, again, not to infer that I am going to infiltrate to violate any legal considerations. That's not my intent. Areas that are not touched and people are actively kept out of are good candidates for areas to check and monitor to see if there's activity, because there actually is a history of activity in this particular neighborhood. And the demographics, and I'm not referring to people, do lend to an area where such a creature could hide in small numbers and not be bothered for a prolonged period of time. So that is something to bear in mind, and I'm going to get into that area and surrounding areas, as well as check out other areas that have had alleged activity too. Some further to the northwest corner and some otherwise, as well as several locations in the Berkshire region too. Hopefully my neighbors to the north don't mind the competition, but you know, you're not shy about sharing information, and I have every right to go into public lands too, so you'll live. And I dare say that if certain individuals could be more cordial and more, how shall we say, neighborly, I might even be willing to collaborate and coordinate efforts. But if you're going to act the way you normally do, then, and have certain attitudes towards obviously fake things, I'm not going to bother. But we're going to take a short segment break and come back shortly. Again, disclaimer about the camera: if it starts wandering, it's cold and it does not like the cold, so we're going to do best we can. The tracks you see in front of me are not mine, but they are humans, so if anyone is so gullible they think everything the hole in the snow is made by Bigfoot, it wasn't. Those are, some guy was out here walking his dog earlier in the week or whatever, and that's what that is, so relax. Ow. Sorry. You have that odd, when you do fall through the snow, it's like several inches deep, and it's just hard enough that sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. So anyway, so we are going to branch out. I'm still on like future events. I'm thinking like preferably end of the month, but winter weather and the limitations thereof, this is probably the best time to consider planning these things out if you can't actually get out as much, going over the maps and things. And so I'll be branching out a little further north, a little further west, in some cases a little further east, but I'll leave that to myself, because I'm kind of piggybacking in on somebody else's investigation by invite. So there's that. But with new areas come new possibilities. And as far as the drone goes today, it is, again, 16 degrees and you have wind gusts of 31 miles an hour. So I didn't even get it out of the house. There's no point. That's an exercise in frustration, and I'm just not going to do that to the poor thing. Other than that, I'm trying to think of any Bigfoot-related issues. Can't really think of any. I mean, I guess this is the quiet time when you're out. To recap ever so much, and here's some tracks. Hold on. They look like coyote. They are coyote. Coyote tracks, moose tracks, and bobcat tracks. So not a bad tracking day. And of course the odd squirrel or there's like some kind of vole or small rodent. Mouse-sized rodent, I'll just call. And they bit through the snow, and they ironically have the easiest time leaving. You're going to hear the wind. I mean, to make the point, go up. You can see the trees moving there. Just to make the point, the wind is a little crazy today. You can see those moving around. I didn't want selfie mode. There you go. I wanted to recenter. Thank you. You gotta love the camera. Does not operate well in the cold. You're probably sick of hearing me harp on it, but it is true. All right, so there's not really a lot of gossip out there today in Bigfoot world. So, like I said, there was an interesting discussion in a local Connecticut group about the nature of coy wolves, and you always have that one skeptic who'll chime in and have to say, there are no wolves in Connecticut. Well, no shit. That's not what anyone's saying. Again, there's a segment of the population that has been scientifically tracked that came here from further out west that has interacted with gray wolves at some point in the past, and they bear that DNA. So it is part of their genetic makeup. That's what was said. That does not infer that there are wolves in Connecticut, although I have had people from the DEP tell me otherwise. That being said, I've only heard it one time, so with no follow-up to it, it could have been somebody just talking. As far as the cougar debate, they're not native, but they do get here. So, to the skeptics on that, suck it. They are here. They are rare, but they're here. Same with moose. I just showed you moose tracks. We don't have a lot of them, but our tiny little state does have like real wildlife. So it is, for those that are skeptical and just want to be like naysayers for the sake of naysaying, which, like I said, there's always one, and sometimes that is my role too. I mean, there are certain aspects of the Bigfoot subject where I kind of just get annoyed with, people pushing the same stupid idioms. Okay, so there was something that popped up the other day. It's been around long enough that people generally know about it. It's a picture of a stump, and this thing has been circulating around Bigfootery for, I'm just going to say years. I mean, it's been circulating since, I've been doing this since 2004. It's been around since at least like 2006. And to this day, people try to see things and you don't see that that's it's a stump. To the people in the modern day that are trying to still do this, let me disappoint you, but this idiotic stump picture has been analyzed from every conceivable lighting condition and video touch-up editing thing, every angle, and it's a stump. And then the woo people come in and, well, it's some kind of a gnome squatch that freaking shape change. No, it doesn't. It's a stump. There are times when, unfortunately, the explanation is a stump is a stump is a stump. And that picture is a stump. And this is where, again, I get grumpy because all you do when you push these bullshit freaking claims is add to the white noise that moves us further away from actually ever having a fighting chance of solving this thing. God forbid we ever do. And if we did, yes, the sad truth is a lot of people are going to get very nervous because their whole motive in this is making money off the subject. I'm in it for the truth. I don't care about that. I make videos on my own dollar, and maybe the quality of them reflects that. But I'm in it pursuing the truth as I can based on location and logistics and a whole bunch of other things. Granted, you get better locations in the summer because it's easier to get out there, but here we are. I guess that's all I got for today. But for anyone who's going to chime in the comments and say, that's not a stump, it's a stump, stop it. You're embarrassing yourself. Stop adding to the white noise. Move the wheat from the chaff and focus on the things that might actually have some cred. That is how this is done. Whether people want to hear that or not, the people that want to chase down every BS lead, enjoy your little thing around the mulberry bush. Around the Mayberry pole or whatever the hell they call it. You're not going to get anywhere. Another gloomy forecast by your host. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy a video channel where somebody deals with things straight, here I am. If not, Thanks for listening, and we may or may not catch you the next time. But it's cold, and I'll see what tracks I find on the way out. But I guess that's going to be it for today. Kind of a less than ideal day to be out. So I did get out. This is what I found, and we're going to call it here. Thanks for listening, and have a great day. Bye.